You think you know what unpredictability is. You see it as a weakness, right? A flaw, maybe incompetence or even emotional instability. But what if I told you that's exactly what they want you to think? What if the chaos you dismiss is actually a calculated, brutally effective form of psychological warfare? Because what we're about to break down isn't chaos, it's a weapon of control. See, your brain, right now, as you're listening to me, is a prediction machine. It's an evolutionary masterpiece that's constantly scanning the world for patterns, trying to establish certainty, trying to keep you safe. It absolutely craves order, and it hates, truly despises uncertainty. It's a survival mechanism, hardwired into you. A predictable world means safety, resources, a future. An unpredictable one? Well, that signals danger. And that's the central question, isn't it? What happens when the randomness you're facing isn't just an accident? What happens when it's a tool, a lever, being pulled by someone who understands your brain's wiring better than you do? Someone who uses it to push you off balance, to control you, to dominate you, and ultimately, to win. Okay, so this is where the illusion begins. Our default setting, our instinct when we see someone acting erratically is to label it as a failure. We think, oh, that person is incompetent, or that negotiator is just unstable. We see what looks like random noise when we should be seeing a very deliberate signal. And this conditioning, this belief, is a massive vulnerability. Because the moment you dismiss strategic chaos as a simple character flaw, you've already walked right into their trap. You've fundamentally miscalculated the game being played. And in doing so, you've made yourself the one thing a manipulator loves, a predictable, and therefore controllable opponent. Now, to really grasp why this weapon is so powerful, we need to get down to the absolute basics of social hierarchy. Look, evolutionary psychology is pretty clear on this. Across all of human history, there are really only two ways to climb the ladder: to gain influence, to get status. And here they are. On one side, you have dominance. This is power that is taken. It's built on coercion, on intimidation, on fear. A dominant person controls the resources, and they are not afraid to make you pay a price. Then, on the other side, you have prestige. This is status that is earned. It's freely given by other people out of genuine respect for someone's skills, their knowledge, their wisdom. It's the difference between a feared warlord and a revered mentor. And think about the emotional footprint each one leaves. Dominance is designed to make you afraid. It makes you want to avoid that person, to stay out of their way, and ultimately, to submit. It's a push-away strategy. Prestige does the exact opposite. It pulls you in. You feel respect, you feel admiration, and you actively want to get closer to that person, to learn from them. And this is the critical connection. Unpredictability has a very specific home. It belongs squarely in the toolbox of the dominance strategy. Think about it. You can't build prestige by being chaotic and erratic. Respect demands consistency. It demands reliability. But if your goal is to intimidate and control, then being unpredictable becomes one of your most effective assets. It is absolute poison to prestige. All right, let's pull this out of the theoretical and into a place I guarantee you've seen this before: the workplace. Because this isn't just some abstract idea. We have hard data on how this strategy gets deployed to systematically tear apart even the highest performing teams from the inside out. The research shows this devastating four-step domino effect. It all starts when a leader is emotionally unpredictable. The team has no idea how they'll react. Praise one day, rage the next. Step 2, this creates massive uncertainty about who gets what: promotions, resources, approval. So what happens when the rules seem totally random? Step 3, teammates turn on each other. It becomes a free-for-all, sparking these vicious internal power struggles. The final, inevitable outcome? Step 4, the complete and utter collapse of both individual and team performance. And the academic studies are crystal clear about why this works. This tactic completely shatters the psychological safety net that a team needs to function. It obliterates any sense of order or control. So instead of focusing on the collective goal, every single person is now forced into survival mode, focused only on their own standing within the chaotic system. And this is the reframe you have to make. The chaos, the infighting, the collapse in performance, that's not a bug. It's a feature. To a dominance-obsessed leader, a fractured team where everyone is suspicious of each other is far, far easier to control than a unified team that trusts each other. The goal was never team success. The goal was always absolute control.
So let's scale this up. Let's zoom out. What happens when the same exact strategy isn't used in a boardroom, but in the arena of global geopolitics, where the stakes aren't just a promotion, but the fate of entire nations?
Well, it has a name. It's called the madman theory. And the logic is as simple as it is profound. If you're seen as a rational leader, your opponent knows you won't do something totally self-destructive. So your biggest threats aren't really believable. But what if they think you're just unstable enough, just mad enough to actually push the button? All of a sudden, your threat becomes terrifyingly credible. You force them to back down. And trust me, this is not a new idea. This is an old play from the Book of Power. 500 years ago, Machiavelli was advising princes that faking madness was a wise move. During the Cold War, the brilliant strategist Thomas Schelling formalized it. And of course, Richard Nixon famously tried to use the madman theory to make his adversaries think he was a volatile actor capable of absolutely anything. But here's the nuance, and this is absolutely critical. The research shows that for this gambit to actually work, the madness has to be seen as surgical. It has to be targeted. That's situational madness. The other side has to think, okay, this leader is crazy, but only about this one specific issue. If they just think the leader is generally unhinged and chaotic, what we call dispositional madness, the whole strategy backfires. No one can trust them enough to even negotiate, and all their credibility just evaporates. So we've seen this weapon in the office, and we've seen it on the world stage. That now, let's bring it back home. Let's turn inward and look at exactly why it is so devastatingly effective on a neurological level. Let's talk about why your brain is so vulnerable to this siege. I want you to really let this sink in, because this is one of the most shocking findings in all of psychology. Your body, your actual physiological systems, experiences more stress from a boss who is sometimes fair than from a boss who is always unfair. Let me say that again. Your brain would rather have predictable pain than unpredictable reward. That is how deeply, how primally, you are wired to despise uncertainty. See, unpredictability hijacks your oldest, most primitive survival circuits. To the ancient part of your brain, an unstable environment is a red alert. It signals resource scarcity, high risk, and that the future itself is not guaranteed. This flips a switch inside you, pushing you into what scientists call a fast life history strategy. You stop thinking long-term, you become more impulsive, more focused on just surviving the next 5 minutes. And in that state, you become much, much easier to manipulate. And finally, if the psychology and the biology weren't enough, we arrive at the cold, hard math of it all. It's called a mixed strategy in game theory. The logic is simple. In any conflict, if you have a predictable pattern, if you always play rock, your opponent will figure it out and crush you. The only mathematically stable, unbeatable approach is to randomize your actions. By being unpredictable, you make it impossible for your opponent to win. You make their choices totally irrelevant. So, let's put this all together. The psychology of dominance, the geopolitics of the madman theory, the evolutionary triggers, the cold mathematics of game theory. When you see it all laid out, you arrive at a truly chilling conclusion. The person using this against you isn't just being emotional or erratic. They are running a script. They are an algorithm of chaos, and its only purpose is to short-circuit your rational mind, trigger your deepest fears, and in doing so, make you react in perfectly predictable, perfectly controllable ways. But here's the pivot. Once you see the algorithm, it starts to lose its power over you. You can no longer be a naive player in this game. The illusion of random chaos is shattered because now you can see the pattern behind the noise. You can finally see the weapon for what it truly is. And that leaves you right here at a crossroads with a fundamental choice to make. You can click away from this and go back to living in the comfortable fiction that the world is mostly rational and predictable, dismissing those who break the rules as simply flawed. Or you can accept this harsher, more strategic, and more truthful reality. The choice is yours. Will you continue to live in ignorance, or will you commit to seeing reality as it actually is? If you are ready to choose awareness, hit that subscribe button and join a community that is dedicated to understanding these unspoken rules. Ring that bell so you are notified the moment the next truth is revealed. Like this, if you're ready to stop being a player and start seeing the whole game. And comment below with how this new lens changes the way you see a past experience. The first step is awareness. The choice to take it is yours.